This is Nikki Bell. Let's go. Woo! So you all know that I'm a global strategic advisor direct to you, private investors. And your spiritual wealth is your spiritual health. So today we're going to talk about some investment stuff that I have recently and consistently come across that's been on the upscale in the last number of years. But the information is somewhat incorrect. And I'm going to talk about private debt. There was the investor calendar that I came across on a website, and it's going over the calendar. It's going over alternative ways in which investors are investing in certain projects or what have you. And I'd like to quote this. So I just read in an further explanation on private debt, I just read it is actually performing debt, right? Under private debt. And this is what I'm saying. It's actually performing debt with the equity being secondary and the debt being primary. Layman's terms means it's the borrower has to perform in order to pay on their debt. Lenders that are not institutionalized, like a bank, are private investors. This new internet terminology is just that and helps no one. It makes it more confusing when you don't call it what it is. So the following is wrong. And this is what I came across. It said private debt, also known as private credit, is a type of alternative investment where investors provide loans to companies directly bypassing traditional bank intermediaries. I'm saying it is private investors of any kind investing in a company who has debt. It is not a loan or credit because when you use the term loan or credit, we are typically talking about institutions, banks, etc. This is not new at all. It has been going on before time. A loan is a loan. Investment is an investment. When this article says, quote, bypassing traditional bank intermediaries, that is the private sector where private investors exist who are angels, high net worth individuals, family offices, etc. Private investors, we don't give out loans, we give out investments. If the investor chooses to run a company's credit, that is him acting as a lender and paving the way to loan a business money. For example, a mom and pop restaurant. Does that make him a lender in that instance because he is bailing them out with little promise of a return on the loan? Sure, we can entertain this. But if he is asking for a return on his or her investment, that is a solid return. And if they go public, then he can get equity later on down the road. Interest, as this article wants you to believe, is if it is in the form of a loan with no return on investment attached to it. A true lending institution is not going to double dip and say, here's a loan, we are charging you 20% interest, and once you go public as a mom and pop, we are charging equity. The going public for a small business or mom and pop restaurant, unless franchise, is least likely to happen. Why? Because how many small businesses go public, even though they are the heart and fabric of our nation? There are not many, very few. Now, if a new age private investor wants to call himself a lender and give out loans with usually high interest, then by all means, all involved need to investigate the worthiness of such a transaction. Private investors invest in a company no matter what kind or type of company. Different private investors invest in different industries. Then he expects a return on investment for the millions he invested. Then he typically goes with the status quo and will see his money in 3 to 5 years from said company. Then he will usually want an exit plan once that company exists, meaning he sells the company for loads of money or keeps the company and goes public. He will then get equity. How much on these percents that I'm talking? You have to contact me if you want to know more. If you have pain points as an investor, need help, but most people need to get the terminology right. This is not info you can find in a book. If you find it in a book or article, it's usually not correct unless a person like myself has experience and knows what the hell they're talking about. Remember, I am keeping it basic in layman's terms so anyone can understand. I am here not just to spit out information, but for you to really grasp the information to the best of your ability. I noticed this happening years ago, people talking with misunderstandings and misinformation. So, welcome to the private industry, where it is a black hole and anything goes. If someone came to me and said, I'm a lender, they're usually not verifiable unless they are an institution or a lending company with visible public financial documents. There are a lot of public lending institutions such as banks and some wealth management firms, but there are private ones as well, like wealthy families or hedge funds. But an individual posing as a lender, yeah, and no. Do your due diligence, folks. Not okay. A private investor does not have to provide the public his financials, but someone like myself who has been in the business for 16 plus years now, I know what questions to ask in order to ascertain documents and information concerning the investor are not only requested, but received. Again, contact me. I was fuming when I read this. My brain was blowing smoke out of my head. New age people need to understand how the private industry works. Now, certain things are going on, yes, but the terminology has to match what events and activities are really going on. This is not an alternative method because it's been happening, period, for many lifespans and generations. This is Niki Bell. The call to action today is to pick up the phone and call me or schedule with me or have that nice chat. Remember, connect, conversate, collaborate. This is Niki Bell. Let's go.